In this episode of The Dad Life, I kind of wanted to talk about YouTube Kids. Now, for those of you who are not parents and you are used to the regular YouTube, this YouTube is sort of geared towards kids, as the name would imply, YouTube Kids. And my son watches YouTube Kids, or he used to watch YouTube Kids. And I'll preface by saying that I definitely let him get into it sort of unknowing or not really doing my research as a parent 100%. Now, I didn't just let him go off freely and watch whatever. I would sit there and watch the YouTube videos that he was watching with him, or I would be sitting next to him so I could glance over from time to time. And my thoughts on this is that it is a weird place right now. I don't really feel like YouTube Kids is kind of a safe place for kids. There's a lot of innuendos in these videos that are out there. There are a lot of really questionable content. I know that there had been stories recently that have come out about like Daddy05. If you guys aren't familiar, it's sort of a father who would play pranks on his kids. And now these pranks were actually just abuse. Like he was abusing these kids verbally, sometimes physically. The channel was pulled, but still, I mean, you have content like that going unscreened or sort of unchecked. It's really, once again, like the Wild West of the internet, where you can upload anything, put it under kids content, and if you're looking to monetize or make some money, well, it's not at least it wasn't as heavily regulated. And it seems like things are starting to become more regulated now. YouTube is starting to take notice to what's going on and what people are putting out there on their YouTube Kids platform. But I mean, like anything, you can't just put your kid in front of the TV or even in front of the computer. It really is a window into the world, and we sort of have to be the people who are responsible for kind of checking what our kids are watching or making sure that they have an understanding of what it is that they're seeing, because their minds are just so up to interpretation, whatever it is. I know that there's an individual out there who goes by the name of Blippi, and this is a grown man who's dressed up in a, what you call a costume or maybe an outfit for work or his job, which is like bright orange suspenders, a golf hat, I want to say, and jeans. And this grown adult, he's making his content going to kids' play places and playing in the ball pit and sliding down slides. And now kids watching this, they get a kick out of it. He's a character. I mean, I'm no stranger to these kind of individuals. We had Pee Wee Herman growing up. I know that there was that guy from Blue's Clues. And though after how many years, some sort of questionable things about these individuals and their personal lives kind of maybe tarnish their reputation as child performers or child entertainers, the jury's still out on what's going to happen with this guy. But again, he got an adult making content, and YouTube is no place where people just upload videos and they're not really raking it in, or they're just doing it for fun. Like, these are businesses. I think that they clocked this guy in at making like $2 million or maybe more just off of his YouTube and merchandise and all of the other deals that he's got out there. I know he's hooked up with Amazon because I purchased a Kindle Fire for kids for my son, and it came preloaded with like Blippi content and videos and songs and things like that. And now kids, they want to emulate things, and I don't really feel like he's the type of individual that I would want my child to emulate, and definitely not someone that I feel is fully educating kids on any given topic. Some of his content, it's like more like random things that he's just getting kids to repeat or interact with. It doesn't feel like it has maybe a Sesame Street style of structure where, there's counting involved, where you're learning, and there's spelling or words. Again, it's completely different. It's more Pee Wee Herman-esque for a younger crowd. And that was one of the reasons why I had pretty much put an end to YouTube Kids. I took it off the device. I pretty much turned off internet access, because even though I had him stop, I stopped giving him access to YouTube Kids, he still found like a workaround. And it's interesting, kids get these devices and they're able to figure this stuff out. But he was able to access the web browser on this tablet. And that was one of the things, like, I didn't know that was still accessible. I thought that in the parental controls, I had turned that off. I knew you can, or I know you can turn it off. And it was just an error on my part, not making sure that all the boxes were checked or unchecked. And so it's one of the things, like, he's no longer watching now. When he's a little bit older, if he wants to check it out, I hope to be able to sit down and explain to him some of these things. But again, I feel like some of these videos is not a clear-cut message as to what it's teaching, and there are hidden innuendos. And there was even a deeper dive taken on a TED Talk where he got into how, I think 7 videos in on YouTube's automated sort of streaming service, where you watch one video and then it, based on whatever YouTube's algorithm is, whatever they think you like or what you might enjoy watching next, it will go ahead and pull up another video for you. So about 7 videos in, it started getting strange, started getting really weird videos, making, your regular everyday characters like Thomas the Train, or what's another one? Maybe Chuggington. These, animated characters that kids enjoy watching on PBS, and making them spooky or scary. And all of a sudden, you wonder why your child is like talking about, I don't know, Timothy. And I was thinking, who the heck is Timothy? All of a sudden, some video comes up, and it's like a ghost-looking train called Timothy. And, my son's like now afraid of this Timothy character that doesn't even appear, not even once, on Thomas and Friends. So, again, another reason why I steer clear of YouTube Kids. Another thing is, the songs, they can become like mind-numbing, and just the repetition of them. I don't know. Maybe I'll just link to that TED Talk. It was much more extensive than I would be able to give it. I wouldn't be able to give it its due diligence and expressing my thoughts properly on it as this talk did. But again, I felt one too many reasons as to why I wasn't gonna allow my child, at least at this age, to be on a platform like YouTube Kids. And that's not even getting into the advertising aspect and how they're, sort of feeding ads to kids at such a young age. But I don't know, kind of segueing, my wife and I, we're at that age where we're into, I don't want to say like adult content, but movies for grown-ups or tweens. Like we still enjoy, we're not too old for tween movies or movies for young adults. And I feel that there have been a few young adult shows on Netflix, movies in the theaters that have gotten a lot of criticism before they even come out. Like, people are just taking it on face value as to what it's about and already, firing up the torches and sharpening those pitchforks, and they're ready to start protesting something that they know nothing about, at least to my knowledge. They don't know a greater deal about what it is they're protesting. And given the type of person that I am, whenever I see a post saying don't watch something or let's boycott this, it kind of sparks my interest. It makes me want to look into that and see what it's all about. So one of these things is 13 Reasons on Netflix. Season 1 got a lot of flack before it even came out. And maybe I'm a little bit late to the game talking about it, so we can skip to season 2. But I really didn't feel like it was worth the merit. Parents wanted to protest about young kids engaging in, premarital sexual intercourse, or they want to talk about the stylized or glorification of suicide and stuff like that. They want to romanticize these things. And in my opinion, it's all art, no matter what way you look at it. These shows, these movies, these stories, they're all forms of art. And now I'm not the person who coined this phrase. I don't know where I heard this phrase or if I'm just making it up, to be honest with you. But art really allows us to experience the realities of humanity from a safe distance. And I really feel strongly about that. That just because there is a sexual assault scene in 13 Reasons or a suicide, and I'm sorry if I'm getting into spoilers and I didn't warn you guys, but it's my podcast. I'm going to talk about whatever I want to talk about, however I want to talk about. Consider every episode to have spoilers in one way, shape, or form. But when you want to talk about them displaying these things and it being a problem that you don't want your children to watch them, and I can understand, maybe preteens, you might not want them to watch it, but it doesn't dismiss the fact that these things are happening, that there are kids who are being assaulted, there are kids out there who are being bullied, or worse. And experience sort of allows us to learn and to understand how we would handle ourselves in any given situation. That, yes, I can understand the don't touch the fire because you'll burn yourself, and you just need to trust it. As a kid, you need to trust it. As a parent, you're not going to let your kids touch that flame. But there are some things I feel that we witness in a safe environment. You should definitely watch these shows with your parents if you're trying to watch them as a young adult, and have the conversation, talk about it. Because it was my takeaway from shows like this that really has me in fear when my kids get older, that they're just not going to talk to me. And not that they're not going to talk to me, but that they're not going to tell me the real problems that they're going through, that they're not going to share the real things that are bothering them, and that could bring them to the brink of a mental breakdown, a deep depression, or something even worse. Or that they may be physically attacked, whether it's beaten up or a sexual assault, and they're just going to feel ashamed or dehumanized and not want to share that information with me as their parent. Because it wasn't too long ago, even though it was long ago, that I was a teen myself. And there's a large number of things I didn't care to share with my parents growing up. Now, granted, I didn't have the experiences that were going to push me over the edge or anything like that, but still, I didn't share everything. And that's one of the things that I hope I'm able to work on as a father and be able to have an open dialogue. And now I say that now, here I am, I'm going on my mid-30s. My kids are young. They're not even close to teenage age yet. Teenage age, I think that's right. But they're not even close. And so my mental approach or my thought process may change dramatically in 10, 15 more years. So it's something that in the back of my mind, at least right now, I hope to be able to be approachable by my children and to be able to be that ear to listen to anything and everything, that I would hope that nothing is deemed off limits in terms of what they can tell me, even though they might feel it. I guess I'll see when I get there, but there are other things outside of just that show. Another one is, well, I mean, it's a little bit, it's taking it way back further than this, but I mean, Harry Potter. Children's novel, then turned successful franchise movie. But there are a lot of parents that are just like, no, that's witchcraft. That's wizardry. That's, blasphemous. Shouldn't be watching that. If it encroaches upon your religious beliefs, then by all means, pass. Don't watch it. But to then protest it and have other people not engage in an entertaining story, not saying that I'm like the biggest fan, but I enjoyed the movies. I think it's a gray area for sure. And I didn't feel that there was much wrong other than, why did these kids keep going back to that school where it seemed like every year someone was dying? I would definitely think twice before re-upping my enrollment in a class or school like that. But again, that's just nitpicking the story. And I think it just focuses around, people really getting in an uproar about stuff. And I mean, maybe I am myself getting in an uproar about things like YouTube Kids. There's probably other parents out there that are like, man, you just need to relax. It's just videos. But you guys should take a chance, take some time, watch them, watch some YouTube Kids and see what you think. I think it's like some weird stuff myself. But, when I think back to my teen years, there were a lot of things, or my young adult years, there were a lot of things that I wasn't allowed to watch. I mean, MTV, for example, you think about it now in comparison to what's out there, and MTV is tame by today's standards. And I think that that's just something that's inherent to human nature and to the passing of time, that, what was tame today, or what is tame today, was wild back in the day. And I think I was like maybe middle school when I was actually watching MTV. And there were kids that were watching it much younger, elementary school. And the only reason was that, my parents, they had blocked that channel. But one day the cable company decided to switch what channels were what. And all of a sudden MTV was on the menu, and I just started watching it. And I can see the reason why my parents would want to restrict a show like that, because you got to remember there were things like MTV Beach House or Spring Break and stuff like that. And you got a lot of college aged kids engaging college age things. And here my prepubescent mind was probably not ready to handle all of that sort of visual stimulation. So on their part, given that they weren't going to sit down and watch these shows with me and sort of guide my focus or explain to me what it is I'm seeing and what it is that's going on, I can understand why it was easier for them to just block the channel and problem solved. So maybe coming into it later made me the type of person I am today. I know that there were a lot of kids, they were watching things at a much younger age. And I mean, their profanity vernacular was a much more advanced than mine at a younger age. It wasn't until middle school that I was kind of introduced to these taboo words. And thinking back on it now, it's kind of silly. I mean, but yeah, I think that even with music, and touching back again on YouTube, you know, my son, he's starting to repeat a lot of the things that he hears. And we were watching a lot of Bruno Mars. He likes to dance. And so we would listen to a lot of Bruno Mars Sundays, and well, really just any day. He would ask for Bruno, send more Bruno. And now he's starting to repeat some of the things that Bruno Mars is saying. And not to say that Bruno Mars is the foulest of artists out there, but some of the things he says are not for kids. At least not for toddlers or, you know, really little kids whose vocabulary is not as broad as maybe an older child, and they're just limited to repeating what it is that they hear. So he kind of segued into, well, he likes this music, he likes these more popular songs, but we're kind of limited as to how many he can listen to. And we can only listen to Twinkle Twinkle Little Star and, you know, Baa Baa Black Sheep so much. So we turned to Kids Bop. And I never thought I would. I never thought I'd be that guy who's rocking out to Kids Bop. But I am. And my son is none the wiser. He doesn't know he's not listening to Bruno. He thinks it's Bruno. Yeah, they've changed a lot of the words, but I have a hard time watching Kids Bop. And it's not because of the remade music or the fact that all these kids are jumping and dancing and it feels like, you know, it's cool to be clean kind of thing. I have a hard time watching it because in today's day and age, with hashtag #MeToo movements and sort of the veil of, you know, the veil being lifted off of Hollywood and the rest of us being able to see it for what it is, a lot of people in power taking advantage of those who want to get fame. It's hard for me to watch anything nowadays, really. Movies, TV, Kids Bop, where you know it's a big company. And there's people who are in the position to make or break people's careers. And these people's careers that they have control over are kids. And without getting too deep into it, it makes it hard for me. It makes it hard for me to watch it and think that, you know, none of these kids or all these kids are coming out unscathed from the realities of life and being that young and working around adults in power. So to touch back on some of the things, or kind of just the gist of what I was saying altogether, I just feel like as parents, it's our responsibility to curate the content that our kids consume. That we can't just let our kids go off on the internet. The equivalent is just sending them out the door at a young age and saying, this is the world. Go check it out on your own. That when we go out, I still hold my kids' hands. And if I'm doing that in the real world, I need to do that in one way, shape, or form on the internet too. Sitting next to them, watching what it is they watch, explaining what it is that they're watching, or if they have questions as they get older. And knowing if I'm uncomfortable with something, well, as a parent, I don't really need my child's permission. I'm just going to go ahead and block it, or we're not going to go that way. And I think that curation, it definitely is attributed or influenced heavily on all of our upbringings. Again, I mentioned that MTV was off limits to me for the longest time and to my brother for, well, a much shorter time, being younger than me. But it's based on our upbringing, religious belief, and life experiences. All these things are going to play a factor. And that no matter what you do, there'll always be people who are going to critique and overanalyze you as a parent, that it really is just a crapshoot. I feel that if I'm a parent who doesn't want to allow my children to watch YouTube Kids because I feel that there are hidden innuendos in some of the content, or I feel that some of the creators are questionable in their intent, that's just me. There are other parents that are like, whatever, I'm just going to let it autoplay, and wherever this rabbit hole leads, I'll never know because I don't watch. I don't sit there with them. I don't go over the history. I don't know why they have, fears of Thomas the Train anymore, or why they keep singing this, this song over and over and over. Where'd they get that? Or where'd they learn to say this? Now that they're repeating things, where'd they learn that word? So there's nothing wrong, I feel, with either or. It's just my own personal approach that you'll always be critiqued. There are always going to be parents out there that they're definitely going to look at you like, you're not doing it right. Or, why'd you do that way? I don't do that. We don't do that. So, that's all I got. Hope you guys enjoyed this Dad Life episode. Gonna throw it up today. See how it goes. Again, thank you guys for listening. If you listen this long, you earned yourself a gold star. And I don't know, leave a like, leave a comment. Trying something completely new here. Any positive or constructive criticism is more than welcome. Feel free to slide in the DMs. You guys can find me on my Instagram at Ramon_Campamore. If you listen to me on iTunes, leave stars? Leave a 5-star. Positive rating would be great. If you're watching this video on YouTube, thumbs it up, or thumbs down. I mean, I don't think I've gotten one of those yet, so you might be the first. Yeah, I won't take it to heart. And until next time, see ya.